Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Shri Radha Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Bol
Hari Hari Bol. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Vidatam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Caitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sargajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vaiśeṣika Dāsa Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kopaturubhyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. When Srila Prabhupada was traveling on the Jaladuta, he wrote a poem in which he says, Krishna taba punya habe bhai, e punya koribe jabe, Radharani kushi habe, dhruva ati tomatai. I emphatically say to you, and some have translated this as, O brothers, and others, including Bhakti Churu Maharaj, said Prabhupada was directly saying, O Bhai, in a friendly relationship with Krishna, and saying, Krishna, I'm saying to you, you will obtain good fortune from the Supreme Lord only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. So it can be taken either way. But this was his prayer on the Jaladuta, and he was aware that the way of success for his mission in serving his spiritual master, who just happened to be called Sri Vaisheṣika Devi Dayita Das, which means the servant of the lover of Srimati Radharani. And there's a history Prabhupada tells about he and his father, and that when he lived at home as a child, his father, Gop Mohan De, who Prabhupada says in the Krishna book, was a pure devotee in his own right, would invite sadhus, and he would feed them. In some cases, he would give them a hookah with ganja if they needed it. Anyway, to satisfy them, and then ask for their benediction for his son. And he said, please bless my son that he becomes a pure devotee of Srimati Radharani. So, why is it that he was successful? We can say that it was the mercy of Srimati Radharani, that his mission under his spiritual master and by the desire of his pure devotee father, that he become blessed by Srimati Radharani, was the way in which he became successful. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashrita bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutatim avyayam, that those who are taking shelter under the internal potency of the Lord, who is Srimati Radharani. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, of course, is known to have unlimited potencies. Parasya Shaktir Vivadaiva Shruyate Swabhavika Gana Balakriya Cha Swabhaviki Bhava Balakriya Cha. And although he's one, he has multifarious energies that emanate from him. And the primal energies are Hladini, Shakti, Samvit, and Sandini. The internal potency, the Swarup Shakti, is personified in Srimati Radharani. So we are fortunate because we come in the line of devotees, pure devotees from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's really impossible to understand Srimati Radharani, her tattva, without the mercy of Lord Caitanya, of Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada points out in his Krishna book that the only way to overcome the dread disease of the heart that's mentioned by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, Kama Rupam Durashadam, the all-devouring enemy, which is lust, is to understand Krishna and his internal potencies. We know Shukadeva Goswami has said, Vikriditam vrajava durbir aham cha Vishnu, shradhanvito nashunu yad atavarna yedya, bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam, hridrogam ashva pahinot yacharena dira. That's, if one can understand the pastimes between Krishna and the damsels, the gopis of Vrindavan, then one becomes disinterested in the lustful activities of the material world, which are epitomized by the attraction between so-called males and so-called females, which is the root cause of bondage in the material world. as Rishabhadev says, Pumsastriya maituni bhavametam toyo mritur shridariya grantamahu ato griya kshetra sutatta viter janasya moho yamahambameti. That one becomes overcome by the external energy. It looks like it's a good idea. Seemed like a good idea at the time, but the problem is it's illusory and it's not real, it's not substantial. So the real substance is there. What we're looking for, the fulfillment of the desire of our attraction, and we want beauty, we want relationship, and that's there by joining Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual world. So Shukadeva Goswami says, Rajavaduvir ahamcha Vishnu. If you hear about the pastimes of Krishna and Srimati Radharani, then you will become freed from the dread disease of the heart, lust. But he qualifies it and it says, Shraddhanvito nashunu yadata varniyadya. You should hear about this, but with Shraddha, which means it has to be in the proper context, coming from those who are not sentimentalists, but who actually understand the reality of Krishna and his associates. So there are warnings that one should be careful about entering into the listening to, the studying the pastimes of Radha and Krishna Vrindavan. Nevertheless, they're there, and they're the means by which we actually conquer the material world. So how do we do that? Through the guidance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's servants. Srila Prabhupada often quotes Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam. That when we follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami, who's one of the Manjaris in the spiritual world, but who showed in this world how to conduct oneself, how to develop that kind of faith and connection to the spiritual world. Through his instructions, for instance, he gave us the Upadeshamrita that starts with Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udarapasta Vegam, Etan Vegam, Yo Vishaheta Dhira, Sarvamapimam Pritivim Nashishat. That to become Dhira in this world first, as Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita as well. So, where are the ways? What are the ways in which we can understand Srimati Radharani through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and through his followers and through the acharyas? So, first of all, it's important to understand that Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, manifests himself in many different forms. In fact, the Vedas say, Eko Bahushyam, the one has become many. And why? Anandamayo Vyasat, for his own pleasure. Because there's no happiness in oneness. There's only happiness in variety and in relationship. So Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, manifests himself in various forms, and the form for his ultimate pleasure is manifest as his Swarup Shakti, or his internal potency, Srimati Radharani, personified form of his internal potency. And we can get a clue best from, as I said, the teachings of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu's followers. And in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we hear about how the transcendentalists, as Prabhupada writes, Radha and Krishna, they've, although they're one, they're eternally separated. But now they've come together as one in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is the means through which Krishna himself comes to taste the pleasure that Srimati Radharani feels when she sees Krishna, enjoys his beauty, or relishes the sweetness of his beauty, And her love for him continually expands, and her happiness from engaging in his service continually expands. But because Krishna's the object of that, he can't enjoy it as the object of love. So he comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then through his pastimes, as through his Acharya Lila, and through his own esoteric way of enjoying the mood of the devotee, which is noted by Krishna that Srimati Radharani enjoys 100 times more than he does when she beholds him. So, there are several sections of the Shastra that we can look at to get a sketch of Srimati Radharani, and one of them is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 4, and we can look at Adi Lila 4.44. Tatastahya mane bichar jari kari shabras hoite shringari adika madhuri. But if we compare the sentiments in an impartial mood, we find that the conjugal sentiment is superior to all others in sweetness. So, we were singing this morning the song Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. So Madhava Dayate, Srimati Radharani is the beloved and the lover of Lord Sri Krishna. And of course, Krishna loves everyone in a way. Aham bija pradapita. We're all parts and parcels of Krishna. But he says in the 9th chapter of the Gita, Samaham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priya ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. It's true that he's a friend to everyone, but he's equal or neutral, sama. But if someone surrenders to him in the mood of selfless service, then he says, Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya, I'm in him and he's in me. And there's a very intimate relationship at that point. So it's not that Krishna just remains at a distance, as he does as the Paramatma. We barely see him because I'm not disposed for seeing him. I'm not in the mood of seeing him. I'm looking at the external world for my own enjoyment. But ye yatamam prapadyante, when I surrender and I follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas who are following in the footsteps of Srimati Radharani in the mood of selfless service, then ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Whoever renders service unto me, Krishna says, is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So he reciprocates. And there are various moods in which the devotees reciprocate with Krishna, and he reciprocates with them. So here we see in the Adi Lila the comparison of sentiments. Prabhupada writes, no one is higher or lower than anyone else in transcendental relationships with the Lord. For in the absolute realm, everything is equal. But although these relationships are absolute, there are also transcendental differences between them. Thus, the transcendental relationship of conjugal love is considered the highest perfection. 45. We'll go all the way to 50. Yatotaram asau swadha Vaiśeṣika Dāsa samayapi ratir vasanaya swadvi basate kapi kasyachit. Increasing love is experienced in various tastes, one above another. But that love which has the highest taste in the gradual succession of desire manifests itself in the form of conjugal love. That's from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Ataiva madhuriras kahitaranam swakiya parakiya bhave dvivida samstan. Therefore I call it madhura ras, It has further divisions, namely wedded and unwedded love. Parakya bhave asi rasera ulas, vrajavina ihar anyatra nahivas. There is a great increase of mellow in the unwedded conjugal mood. Such love is found nowhere but in Vraja. Vrajavadu ganera e bhav niravadi tarmadye Shri Radhaya bhavira avadi. This mood is unbounded in the damsels of Vraja, but among them it finds its perfection in Sri Radha. Prauda nirmal bhava prema sarvottama krishnera madhurya rasa asvara karana. Her pure, mature love surpasses that of all others. Her love is the cause of Lord Krishna's tasting the sweetness of conjugal relationship. Ataiva she bhav angikara kari sadilena nijavancha Gauranga Sri Hari. Therefore, Lord Gauranga, who is Sri Hari himself, accepted the sentiments of Radha and thus fulfilled his own desires. Purport. Of the 4 kinds of reciprocation of loving service, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, Madhurya is considered the fullest. But the conjugal relationship is further divided into 2 varieties, namely Swakya and Parikya. Swakya is the relationship with Krishna as a formerly married husband, and Parakya is the relationship with Krishna as a paramour. Expert analysts have decided that the transcendental ecstasy of the Parakya mellow is better because it is more enthusiastic. This phase of conjugal love is found in those who have surrendered to the Lord in intense love, knowing well that such illicit love with a paramour is not morally approved in society. The risks involved in such love of Godhead make this emotion superior to the relationship in which such risk is not involved. The validity of such risk, however, is possible only in the transcendental realm. Swakya and Parakya conjugal love of Godhead have no existence in the material world, and Parakya is not exhibited anywhere in Vaikuntha, but only in the portion of Goloka Vrindavan known as Vraj. Some devotees think that Krishna is eternally the enjoyer in Goloka Vrindavan, but only sometimes comes to the platform of Vraj to enjoy Parakya Ras. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, however, have explained that Krishna's pastimes in Vraj are eternal, like his other activities in Goloka Vrindavan. Vraja is a confidential part of Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna exhibited his Vraja pastimes on the surface of this world, and similar pastimes are eternally exhibited in Vraj in Goloka Vrindavan, where Parakya Ras is ever existent. In the 3rd chapter of this epic, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has explicitly accepted the fact that Krishna appears in this world, in this material world, at the end of the Dwapara age of the 28th Chatur Yuga of Vaivaśeṣika Dāsa, and brings with him his Vrajadam, which is the eternal abode of his highest pastimes. As the Lord appears by his own internal potency, so he also brings all his paraphernalia by the same internal potency, without extraneous help. It is further stated here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the Parakya sentiment exists only in that transcendental realm and nowhere else. This highest form of ecstasy can exist only in the most confidential part of the transcendental world, but by the causeless mercy of the Lord, we can have a peep into that invisible Vraja. The transcendental mellow, relished by the gopis in Vraja, is super excellently featured in Srimati Radharani. Mature assimilation of the transcendental humor of conjugal love is represented by Srimati Radharani, whose feelings are incomprehensible even to the Lord himself. The intensity of her loving service is the highest form of ecstasy. No one can surpass Srimati Radharani in relishing the qualities of the Lord through this supreme transcendental mellow. Therefore, the Lord himself agreed to assume the position of Radharani in the form of Lord Sri Gauranga. He then relished the highest position of Parakya Rasa, as exhibited in the transcendental abode of Raja. Good. So, in the song we sang this morning, Madhava Daite, how Krishna is completely dependent on Srimati Radharani's loving sentiments for him. And this may seem like a contradiction because Krishna is known to be Atmarama, or self-satisfied and independent of everyone. But we have to understand Radharani's position in relationship to Krishna. She's the energy of Krishna. And in that sense, she's non-different from Krishna. In fact, this comes up at the recitation of the Srimad-Bhagavatam by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, because Parikshit Maharaj notices that there are various kinds of people there listening to Shukadeva Goswami as he's describing Krishna's pastimes with Srimati Radharani. And as we just heard about the Parikya and Swakya rasas, one of them is considered to be illicit, which gives it more, as Prabhupada said, enthusiasm. And so some gyanis, karmis, those who couldn't understand the internal meaning of these things, needed some context. So Parikshit Maharaj asks Shukadeva, is this not something that is immoral? And Shukadeva explains that when a child plays with his own shadow, then we can understand by hearing that this is the way in which Krishna is interacting with his internal energies. The Swarup Shakti Srimati Radharani and her expansions, the various Sakhis that attend her, are simply manifestations of her personality, because Eko Bahusham, Krishna expands himself to enjoy. And there are various, unlimited nuances in the ways in which love unfolds, and therefore there are various aspects of Srimati Radharani's personality that she manifests in her millions of expansions and her most immediate expansions, Lalita, Vishaka, etc. So, this is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates were teaching, that the ultimate goal of life is not simply to merge into the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotees are not interested in Shanti. This is explained in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, that the devotees are against this idea. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. No thank you. We don't want peace. Vraja means the place that never sleeps. They're constantly going. Krishna never sleeps practically. He comes home and he sneaks out the window again to meet his friends, because it's so ecstatic that that's why Jagannath has the huge eyes, Baladev, Subhadra. They overheard Krishna, Balaram, they overheard the discussion going on about how the residents of Vrindavan were in intense separation from them. And out of ecstasy, they manifested these features. This is the Vipralamba Bhava of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadraji. And this is the mood in Vrindavan. Not Shanti, no peace. Always enthusiastic service 24 hours a day that's going on. So this is the essence of happiness. So going back to the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are a couple of verses that are very important for us to understand Srimati Radharani. Starting with Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladini Shaktiras Ma Ekat Manam Api Bhuvi Pura Deha Bedam Gatau Tau Chaitanyakyam Prakatamaduna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. So there are various very essential truths in this verse for us to understand Srimati Radharani. The first is that The loving affairs of Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure potency. They have nothing to do with the mundane attraction between male and female in the material world. That's why it's recommended that one go through the Srimad-Bhagavatam through the first 9 cantos before one comes to the 10th canto. That's why in the Gita Govinda, Jayadev Goswami wrote about the great avatars before he talked about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So the second truth is that even though they are one, that is, that Krishna is one, he's accepted separate forms, so that one Supreme Personality has actually manifested himself in 2. So what other religious philosophy in the world gives such detailed information about God and how he enjoys and how we relate with God eternally? So what are those 2? And it's a theme, as I mentioned before, Eko Bahusham. He has unlimited energies, and they are all interacting in such a way as to give pleasure to Krishna, to support his pastimes. It's all about Krishna. He's the center of everything. And when we cooperate in that and giving him pleasure, Mendriya Priti, when it's a love for my own senses, Tari Bali Kam, then it's called kam or lust, and lust burns us to death. But when it's Krishnendriya Priti, Ichadari Prem Nam, then it's called prema. And the 2 are like iron and gold. They're both metals, you can say. Oh, that's a metal, but one is unlimitedly valuable and the other one is a base kind of substance. So what we're hearing through this verse is the understanding, really, of the Vedanta Sutra, Anandamayo Bhyasat, that the Supreme exists to enjoy. But how does he do it? He does it with his Hladini Shakti, who is a person. That person of ultimate pleasure in relationship with Krishna manifests as Srimati Radharani. Let's look at Adi Lila 4.56. Radha Krishna Eka Atma Duideya Dari Anyonye Vilasiras Asvadana Kari. Radha and Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed 2 bodies. Thus they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. Radha and Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed 2 bodies. Thus they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. One of my favorite purports. Please listen carefully. The 2 transcendentalists, Radha and Krishna, are a puzzle to materialists. I love that first sentence. Who are these people? I mean, if you standing in airports for the most of my early stage of life, distributing books with pictures of Radha and Krishna on them, I've had many different reactions from people. What is this? Who are they? If you try to explain right on the spot, well, this is a picture of God, people will definitely be puzzled. And therefore, this is a very esoteric science that requires parampara, and it requires a lifestyle in order to enter into the mystery of Radha and Krishna. The above description of Radha and Krishna from the diary of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami is a condensed explanation, but one needs great spiritual insight to understand the mystery of these 2 personalities. One is enjoying in 2. Sri Krishna is the potent factor and Srimati Radharani is the internal potency. Is everyone listening? Yes. According to Vedanta philosophy, there's no difference between the potent and potency. They are identical. We cannot differentiate between one and the other any more than we can separate fire from heat. Everything in the absolute is inconceivable in relative existence. Therefore, in relative cognizance, It is very difficult to assimilate this truth of the oneness between the potent and the potency. The philosophy of inconceivable oneness and difference propounded by Lord Caitanya is the only source of understanding for such intricacies of transcendence. In fact, Radharani is the internal potency of Sri Krishna, and she eternally intensifies the pleasure of Sri Krishna. Impersonalists cannot understand this without the help of a Mahabhagavata devotee. The very name Radha suggests that Srimati Radharani is eternally the topmost mistress of the comforts of Sri Krishna. As such, she is the medium transmitting the living entity's service to Sri Krishna. This is very important, this last sentence. As such, she is the medium transmitting the living entity's service to Sri Krishna. So this is the essence of how we become involved in devotional service. I mentioned it earlier, Mahatmanastu mam parta daivim prakritim ashrita. When a devotee becomes attracted to devotional service, adau shraddha, tata sadhu sangha, and one's association with devotees, and then enters into bhajana kriya, decides to take shelter of a Vaishnava and start chanting Hare Krishna with vows of initiation. Prabhupada describes how this is a product of the internal potency of the Lord. It's coming from Srimati Radharani, and the service that we render is going through the disciplic succession to Srimati Radharani, and we all serve. Our position is that we all serve directly or indirectly, actually mostly indirectly, under Srimati Radharani, and it's the service that she's rendering to Krishna that's significant. So when we serve under her, and that gets passed up to Krishna. She's the medium transmitting the living entity's service to Sri Krishna. Therefore we say, Hare Krishna. Not just Krishna. We say, Hare Krishna. What do we say? That's right. Devotees in Vrindavan, therefore, seek the mercy of Srimati Radharani in order to be recognized as loving servitors of Sri Krishna. That's the secret. Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu personally approaches the fallen, conditioned souls of the Iron Age to deliver the highest principle of transcendental relationships with the Lord. The activities of Lord Caitanya are primarily in the role of the pleasure-giving portion of his internal potency. So it's amazing also that Srimati Radharani, she's the medium through which we render service, and Caitanya Mahaprabhu is described as the combination of Radha and Krishna together. And we hear from Karabhajana Muni, Mayam Ragam Dayite Ipsitam Unvadavad, that Caitanya Mahaprabhu, out of compassion, went after the souls in Kali Yuga to give them that special mercy. As we'll hear in the song, as we heard in the song this morning, Karuna Bharite, which is describing Srimati Radharani, which means, Karuna means mercy, and Bharite means burdened with, or it's like she's carrying it around. Bharam Udvahato Vimudhan, the mudhas, the fools, they're burdened with the external energy. Srimati Radharani is carrying a different kind of burden. That is, she has so much mercy, she doesn't know what to do with it. She's trying to give it out to everyone. So when Srimati Radharani comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she's distributing everywhere, freely to as many people as possible. Last paragraph. The absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the omnipotent form of transcendental existence, knowledge, and bliss in full. His internal potency is exhibited first as Sat, or existence, or in other words, as the portion that expands the existence function of the Lord. When the same potency displays full knowledge, it is called Chit, or Samvit, which expands the transcendental forms of the Lord. Finally, when the same potency plays as a pleasure-giving medium, it is known as Hladini, or the transcendental blissful potency. Thus, the Lord manifests his internal potency in 3 transcendental divisions. So let's look at 59. Just go up to 59, and we'll see this phrase that I've been using that I've used several times in this conversation so far. Well, so far it's a monologue. Radhika hayena krishnara pranaya vikar swarup shakti ladini nam janghar. Srimati Radhika is the transformation of Krishna's love. She is his internal energy called Hladini, which here means that the personal energy of the Lord, Swarup Shakti. And that is the Shakti that is the most dear to Krishna, his own internal, personal expansion for his pleasure. Srimati Radharani. Okay. So there's a way in which Krishna is bound and inseparable from Srimati Radharani. Therefore, oftentimes Prabhupada would see paintings of Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and if Krishna was alone, Prabhupada would complain, and he'd say, no, this is not a bona fide rendering of Krishna. He's always there with his energies. And so Krishna's not simply alone, but he's there with his devotees, his potencies, and especially with Srimati Radharani. So he also has the mood and complexion of Srimati Radharani, does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we can get an idea of her compassionate side. And then the second verse that describes why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended also gives us the clear idea of a clearer idea of who is Srimati Radharani. And as you know, the verse is Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanayaiva Swadyo Yena Bhuta Madarima Kidrisho Va Mariyaha Saukyam Chasya Mad Anubhavata Kidrisham Veti Lobat Tadbhavadya Samajani Sachi Garba Sindo Harindu. The translation is, desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotion, appears from the womb of Srimati Shachi Devi as the moon appears from the ocean. So when Krishna notices the transcendental qualities of Srimati Radharani, he becomes bewildered. And he wonders, how could somebody be more attractive than me? I'm the source of all beauty, but I'm attracted to Srimati Radharani. And as this verse points out, this madness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to drink that happiness that Srimati Radharani is experiencing. Okay. So now what about our practices? In ISKCON, for instance, what are we doing? And what's our relationship with all of this? And Srimati Radharani and so forth. Of course, Prabhupada manifested by his pure devotion temples, or you could even say kunjas. We talk about Nikunja Yuno Ratikeli Siddhai. Where are these kunjas? Well, practically you can go to major cities all over the world and see that the kunj, or the very charming forest area where Krishna enjoys with Srimati Radharani, is manifest. Of course, in the worship that we do of Radha and Krishna, it's done through Vaidhi, in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan, not in the spontaneous mood, because without qualification or adhikari for that, and of course deity worship is meant to evoke that mood naturally, gradually, by serving in Vaidhi. But we see in cities all over the world, in the most unlikely places, in the middle of New York, Tokyo, London, Radha Krishna is there. When we were in a strip mall in ISV, Shri Radha Madan Mohan, we're in a little storefront with everything. The windows were all glass. You could see inside. And people were walking for a haircut or a pizza or get their computer fixed in that little strip mall, and they'd walk past and they'd look at this shop, that shop, and then they'd stop and see Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Radha and Krishna, standing there just giving their darshan right from the window. And so many people stopped and they would just look, and it was puzzling for them. But that was Prabhupada's way of bringing Vrindavan to the world, bringing the worship of Radha and Krishna to the world. Oftentimes people grow up thinking the religious process is something that is inexplicable, and so is the form of God, and so are his relationships. In fact, you're not even allowed to talk about them. There's a Christian track I used to get all the time when I was in Sankirtan from well-meaning, born-again Christians who would give me this little pamphlet, and it had a picture of the throne of God, but there was no form on it. There was only effulgence. We would say, Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Pihitam Mukham. Please remove that effulgence. We want to see your face. But here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is removing that effulgence so that we can actually see what's going on in the spiritual world, what's going on in the relationship between Krishna as the most intimate devotees, and what's our relationship. That's being revealed also. So there are many details that we have in our scriptures by the mercy of our acharyas. And for instance, just in the song again, we sang this morning, Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. So Krishna is being described as being worshipped by all the young girls of Gokula. Taruni means the young girls of Vrindavan. So Srimati Radharani is not alone. She's surrounded by countless companions, billions of other gopis who all have their particular services. And she has her primary associates, and there are various moods among the servitors, which are the varieties of moods that give more and more pleasure to Krishna through the pastimes that he enjoys with his devotees. Let's go to Antilila, chapter 20, text number 48. In the time that we have left, I'm just trying to give a few more sketches of what we have, the richness in our scriptures, describing who Srimati Radharani is. I talked this morning about how in the Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami indirectly reveals Radharani by describing that there is one particular gopi who's doing the best service for Krishna, and Aradhana. So she's known as Radharani. There's no question in Shastra that she's there. That she's not there. She's clearly there. And then through the revelation of those engaged in pure devotional service, we find out more about her and the mood. And especially through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I talked this morning about how the attitude or the mood in which one approaches Krishna is the most important. And here we find in this section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita the mood of Srimati Radharani. Ready? Should I read it? You ready? Shweka's ready. Okay. I am a maidservant. This is Radharani speaking through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I am a maidservant at the lotus feet of Krishna. He is the embodiment of transcendental happiness and mellows. If he likes, he can tightly embrace me and make me feel oneness with him, or by not giving me his audience, he may corrode my mind and body. Nevertheless, it is he who is the Lord of my life. Next, we're going all the way to 61. My dear friend, just hear the decision of my mind. Krishna is the Lord of my life in all conditions, whether he shows me affection or kills me by giving me unhappiness. Sometimes Krishna gives up the company of other gopis and becomes controlled, mind and body, by me. Thus he manifests my good fortune and gives others distress by performing his loving affairs with me. Or, since after all he is a very cunning, obstinate debauchee with a propensity to cheat, he takes to the company of other women. He then indulges in loving affairs with them in front of me to give distress to my mind. Nevertheless, he is still the Lord of my life. I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. If Krishna, attracted by the beauty of some other woman, wants to enjoy with her but is unhappy because he cannot get her, I fall down at her feet, catch her hand, and bring her to Krishna to engage her for his happiness. When a beloved gopi shows symptoms of anger toward Krishna, Krishna is very satisfied. Indeed, he is extremely pleased when chastised by a gopi. She shows her pride suitably, and Krishna enjoys that attitude. Then she gives up her pride with a little endeavor. Why does a woman continue to live who knows that Krishna's heart is unhappy, but who still shows her deep anger toward him? She is interested in her own happiness. I condemn such a woman to be struck on the head with a thunderbolt, for we simply want the happiness of Krishna. If a gopi envious of me satisfies Krishna and Krishna desires her, I shall not hesitate to go to her house and become her maidservant, for then my happiness will be awakened. The wife of a Brahmin suffering from leprosy manifested herself as the topmost of all chaste women by serving a prostitute to satisfy her husband. She thus stopped the movement of the sun, brought her dead husband back to life, and satisfied the three principal demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshvara. Krishna is my life and soul. Krishna is the treasure of my life. Indeed, Krishna is the very life of my life. I therefore keep him always in my heart and try to please him by rendering service. This is my constant meditation. My happiness is the service of Krishna, and Krishna's happiness is in union with me. For this reason, I give my body in charity to the lotus feet of Krishna, who accepts me as his loved one and calls me his most beloved. It is then that I consider myself his maidservant. Service to my lover is the home of happiness and is more sweet than direct union with him. The goddess of fortune is evidence of this, for although she constantly lives on the heart of Narayan, she wants to render service to his lotus feet. She therefore considers herself a maidservant and serves him constantly. These statements by Srimati Radharani show the symptoms of pure love for Krishna tasted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that ecstatic love, his mind was unsteady. Transformations of transcendental love spread throughout his entire body, and he could not sustain his body and mind. So this gives, through the pen of Kaviraj Goswami, the mood, attitude of Srimati Radharani, which is completely selfless service to Krishna. Also, again and again, we're reminded that these are not mundane pastimes between ordinary men and women, but by the exchange of love, the highest level of ecstasy between Krishna and his own Shakti, the Swarup Shakti, that is unlimitedly beautiful and gives him increasing pleasure at every second. And this is inconceivable in this material world where everything's diminishing and the energy is enervating and everything gradually becomes retrograde. In the spiritual world, it's the opposite. And this is all taking place by the inconceivable potencies of Krishna. And the highest of all relationships is that of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani. And therefore, when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we're connecting with that internal potency. And we're also speaking out loud a very confidential truth about the spiritual world. And as we pray to Srimati Tulsi Devi, as we did this morning, just after Mangalartik, we're praying to Tulsi, please give me the adhikari to understand this. Please give me the qualification to enter into this. And that is our sadhana, actually. We're associating with Tulsi, we're associating with Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Krishna. We go to the Dham, we're chanting Hare Krishna. And all of these are stimuli meant to awaken our original relationship with Krishna under Srimati Radharani in some capacity of service. And not the least of which, as I mentioned this morning, is in distribution of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Because Srimad-Bhagavatam is the story of Radha and Krishna in the spiritual world and of all the devotees. And it's the Amala Purana, the perfect way in which anyone can understand Krishna. And without it, there's no hope for society. The incomplete knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a light or as some a God who shows vengeance for no reason, or who sends people to hell forever and so forth, or that has so many scientific fallacies that no one could ever appreciate. These will not transform human society in the way that's needed, but the Srimad-Bhagavatam can. It's non-different from Krishna, and it's also complete in all its aspects in describing our relationship with Krishna, starting from Atma Tattva Gyan all the way up to the very intimate ways in which we love Krishna in our specific, unique relationship with him. And all that becomes awakened by hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada emphasized that our going out into the world, meeting people and bringing them closer to the Bhagavatam, getting them to read Bhagavatam, enter into Bhagavat culture. We invite people, come to Mangalartik, worship Tulsi Devi. We're bringing them into that circle in the spiritual world. And that is a service that is very dear to Srimati Radharani. You can see that in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita with Gopakumar, who is commissioned to come and save another soul from this world and bring him back into Vrindavan. So we have everything that we need through Prabhupada's mercy manifested before us through his books, through the service he gave us, through the Mahamantra, through the deity worship, through our association, by which we can tread the rag marg, or that spontaneous loving mood we can develop through our service as we continue it in the way that we are. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srimati Radharani, all glories to Shri Radha Madan Mohan, all glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his followers, and all glories to all of you, because you are on that list of devotees who are spreading the Sankirtan movement all over the world with no consideration for any personal inconvenience. You simply go on chanting and spreading the movement. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Let's just, let's see. I'm looking what I'm supposed to do. Okay. Just so I can hear a human voice before we move into the next part, is there one question or a comment before we go into the next phase? There were some complaints this morning. People didn't get an opportunity to sponsor Srimad-Bhagavatam. So we're going to honor that, and you'll have your opportunity. We will not cheat you and simply stop this talk without giving you an opportunity to sponsor a set or multiple sets of Srimad-Bhagavatam on this day of Rādhāṣṭamī during this unique time that we're in. So is there anything that anybody wanted to say or ask?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, I just wanted to add a quote which I found very interesting today. So I think this is from Sri Bhaktivedanta Vaibhav, Volume 2. This was written by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The quote is like this: others worship Radha due to her connection with Krishna, but we worship Krishna only because of his connection with Radha.
Nice.
I just thought to share. Thank you.
Yes. Muktanam apisiddhanam narayana parayana. There are many muktas, but the best of all of them are those who are situated in this line of service to Srimati Radharani. Well, with that beautiful quotation, well done. Yes, Malini.
Prabhu, I liked the 2 points, Prabhu. One is that what you read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Radharani is a medium through which devotee service is offered to Krishna. And the second thing is, it is very hard to understand who Radha and Krishna are, but only through the Guru Parampara and the lifestyle of devotional service that we can understand how Radha and Krishna are one.
Yeah. Nice points to bring up, Malini. Thank you very much. Just yasya devi para bhaktir yata devi tata garau tasyaite katita hyarta prakashanti mahatmanaha. To those who have implicit faith in Guru and Krishna, then the imports of all Vedic knowledge are revealed. And the ultimate import of all Vedic knowledge is there in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And that is that Krishna and his devotees in Goloka Vrindavan are engaged in the most loving, intimate pastimes, and that we can enter into that. In fact, when Uttara asked her son, Parikshit Maharaj, what was discussed in the dialogue between you and Shukadeva Goswami, because she couldn't hear everything. And he summarized it by telling about, first of all, the topmost of all devotees, and that is culminated in the devotees in Vraj, in their mood of spontaneous love, and especially Srimati Radharani as the topmost. And we hear that in the writings of Rupa Goswami and the Upadeshamrita, when he gives the hierarchy describing the realms that are the highest, and he ends up in Radhakund always, and the devotees that are the highest, those that are engaged in spontaneous loving service, and of all of them, the best is Srimati Radharani. And the second point you made was about, sorry, I got absorbed in thinking about that, and can you say the second point that you made?
Through parampara and lifestyle, we can understand.
Yes, through parampara and lifestyle. So, by the mercy of the parampara and by lifestyle, by engaging oneself in the lifestyle of, as prescribed by the Goswamis of Vrindavan, and as modified for us by Srila Prabhupada, thankfully. You know, he gave us such a practical way of understanding the Goswami's teachings. He gave us a reasonable quota of chanting every day. so that, and he enforced it. There's no less than this. And even though the devotees couldn't do 64 rounds, he engaged everybody in service, and especially in Sankirtan, spreading the Sankirtan movement, and everything was focused around that. And therefore, the devotees could be purified by that and actually come to the point of understanding by Krishna's mercy the process of pure devotional service. Thank you very much. We'll take one more, and then we'll move on to fulfilling the desires of those who missed out on sponsoring Bhagavatam. Devavrata Prabhu, go ahead.
I was just listening to a class by Rādhāṣṭamī Prabhu, and he was talking about how we understand the compassion and the love of Srimati Radharani by studying the life of our acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, Gorkha Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and that their compassion, that their feeling for the conditioned souls is our way of understanding the compassion of Srimati Radharani.
Yeah, beautiful. We feel the mercy of Srimati Radharani through the Guru Parampara and seeing the mood of the acharyas. It's so important that it's not something you can't barge into the spiritual world with your shoes on. You really have to approach. This is what lifestyle means. I have to amend my lifestyle to please Krishna. And as I do that, I mean, really the lifestyle changes have to do with attitude mostly. The attitude that I'm not the center. I'm a servant of the servant of the servant. And also the idea of doing selfless service, which means developing this mood of working and serving where I'm not reward seeking. It's not like I want something in return. That's why I read that last section, because I mentioned this reward seeking is what keeps me in the material world. Okay, here's your reward. Now go enjoy it in the next life and the next life after that. But when we're satisfied by selfless service in the mood of Srimati Radharani and the acharyas, then we are working in a way that there's no more reaction. And this mood, Trinadapi Sunichena, is the quintessential mood for the devotees. Also, Tate Anukampam Susamikshimano, that whatever's happening to me, I tolerate because I understand this is Krishna's mercy. Whatever's coming to me, I accept that and I take the lesson from it rather than complaining and say, why me, why me, why me? I don't deserve any of this. Boy, what a momentous day it was today. Since the beginning, when we started Sankirtan here at ISV, what it's been really is a series of amazing occurrences by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That if we added up all the times we thought, okay, we've reached the top, we can't do any more. Or if you told us that we'd be in the middle of a pandemic and fires would be burning all around, the economy would be tanked out, and that you'd distribute more Bhagavatams in one morning than you've ever done before in your life, we would wonder how would that ever be possible? And as we go on with spreading the Sankirtan movement, just with faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, first of all, I felt like this morning, we talk so much about Bhagavatam. Obviously, whatever you talk about, you're going to start to value. And whatever you read and hear for yourself, then you start to appreciate it. And it's very helpful when you're spreading a spiritual movement to actually know what you're doing and be appreciating it yourself. Otherwise, why would you distribute it? And all the devotees here are doing that. And therefore, I think we have a collective sense that Bhagavatam is the answer. That's one of the books Prabhupada first put out from the ISKCON press. I think I have a copy somewhere. It's called Bhagavatam is the Answer. It was a publication of one of the chapters from the second canto of the Bhagavatam. And we know that. And therefore, the Bhagavatam has become the most precious item for us. And that's why the devotees are so enthusiastic this morning for sponsoring Bhagavatams, because what else are you going to do? There is no counteracting the way the material nature works, the only way to do it is by putting the transcendental vibration into society. That was Prabhupada's formula. And I was thinking how lucky we are to be connected to it and have some recourse to do some major damage to the Kali Yuga. So, as I said, several devotees complained. They said, you didn't give me enough time to call in. I wanted to get my set. There were people online. They wanted it too. And why are you so stingy by not allowing me to order my Bhagavatams and sponsor them? So we figured we'd bring it up again. Hansapriya told me, better give them a chance so that nobody files a formal complaint against us. Is that what you heard, Malini, in SKP?
I did hear from my own sister, actually.
You did?
My sister said, it's your nephew's birthday, it's her son's birthday. And it's like, how could you forget to sponsor for him? I wanted to make sure that I sponsor for Krishna Das one set of Bhagavatam.
Haribo!
Just so that devotees know, we are actually taking sponsorships for Srimad-Bhagavatam. And if you want to sponsor a set, then it is $250 only for one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam. And if you want to send to somebody, some of your relatives in India, then it is $150 only. And if you do not know anybody, we have a list lined up on who we are going to send. A few names was mentioned this morning, like Will Smith, Russell Brand, and many others. And I just got a text message from Vaikuntha Nayak Prabhu. He sent a message saying that there are a few devotees in Mysore who desperately want to read Srimad Bhagavatam, but they only make 5,000 rupees a month as an income.
Wow.
So he was asking if there is, if you would like, can we sponsor for those devotees who cannot afford? And then I with your permission, I just said yes. We can sponsor as many as you want. Let us know, give us a list, because ISV devotees are so generous. They just want to make sure that Bhagavatam is available for anybody and everybody to read. And this is an opportunity we want to also take so that the Bhagavatam is distributed far and wide. And there's no bar to reading Bhagavatam, because we will try our best to provide that to everybody.
I like that. That's nice. Go ahead, SKP.
Prabhuji, last year with your blessings at ISV, we gave to the fishermen community, Prabhu, in South India. They are from a small village, and I visited personally. And every home they have a tulsi plant, and they stopped fishing and they are doing agriculture and they are reading Srimad-Bhagavatam, Prabhu. Everybody got Telugu Bhagavatam said, and they really are very grateful, Prabhu. As soon as when we meet them, and they can show that gratitude, and they are giving me prasad, and so thank you, Prabhu. It is a great thing, as you mentioned, answer for all questions, Prabhu, Bhagavatam. We no need to give masks for people. Bhagavatam is the best gift for everybody. So.
Wow, what a touching story, SKP, about that tight-knit group of people, very pious, and they just happen to be born in a fisherman's family, and then they get the Bhagavatam, they worship Tulsi.
Yes.
What more could you ask for, right?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And today we got 108 anonymous for Indian villages, Prabhu. We can help Vaikuntha Nayak, Prabhu. We can help as many, as you mentioned, Prabhu, in the call last time. We are a global team now. So
yes.
So.
One of the benefits of Bhadra that we noticed, we've been pushing for the last 5-6 years for this global connection, so that we're all working as one team, just as we've done here in North America, to see how we can increase book distribution globally. One thing is that it's working, definitely, because we've been having these calls when all the devotees come, devotees from various parts of the world come on together, and we discuss what's the global process, and they get really enlivened. You know, in the old days, when anybody was successful with book distribution, we'd call on the phone, which was a lot harder than it is now, or we used to send a letter and say, this is how it's going on. And once it would spread from one temple to the next, everyone would start picking it up, the same methods. And Prabhupada said, you should go out and teach the others. As soon as you figure out how to do it, teach others as fast as you can. But now we can do it almost simultaneously with when we learn it, you know, we can pass it on to others. So that's really the future of book distribution covering the globe, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhu.
That's correct, Prabhu. Yes. Covering the globe. Haribo.
So how many sets of Bhagavatams? Tell us what we've won.
Go ahead, Mother.
Free ticket? We have a batch of free tickets to Goloka.
Prabhu, you're asking how many sets we have done so far?
I think that would be an interesting thing to know. If anybody wants to know, please put a thumbs up here. Okay, only 2 people. We can't tell you then. Oh, all right. More are coming. We want to know how many sets of Bhagavatams were sponsored this morning. Is that information can we allow that information to go out? Will it shock anybody too much?
Prabhu,
I received. Okay, Mata, you want to go first?
yes, Prabhu. So I just wanted to give a summary that this morning we got sponsorships for 451 Srimad-Bhagavatam sets.
What?
And
451?
Yes, Prabhu.
Haribol! I have to say that's more than the entire North America used to do in 5 years. More than they used to do in 10 years. All of you did in just a couple hours, 1 hour this morning. Go ahead, Molly, tell us more stuff. Somehow somebody muted you there.
Hare Krishna.
They thought somebody muted you because it was too astounding. They didn't want anybody to hear more. They can't take it. They can't take the ecstasy.
Prabhu, after the call, I got a few devotees texted, and one was from Anna and Tapan Prabhu, and they said that they would like to sponsor one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam on behalf of their son, and then they wanted to send it for his mama in India. So, and also for his grandparents as well, and the grandparents' name is Archana, and that is her grandmother. So one set of Srimad Bhagavatam from Anna and Tapan Prabhu on behalf of their son, Ayan.
What a nice family. Any family with the Bhagavatam set is a nice family as far as I'm concerned.
Prabhuji, I just received a message from Narasimha Prabhu. He is from Mysore and his mother lives there. And he want to sponsor one set of Srimad Bhagavatam for the Mysore devotees that Vaikuntha Naik Prabhu just now sent a message.
Oh,
Haribo! That's a very important strategic place to be dropping Bhagavatam bombs, because that's nestled down there in South India, and Vaikuntha Nayaka Prabhu and his whole family are there. That's their headquarters. There's something going on down there.
We need all Mysore people can sponsor for
Everyone, I think everyone in Mysore should have a Bhagavatam set and should sponsor one too. I'm just echoing SKP.
Yes.
I wanted to share the realization from SKP's story of the fisherman. I was just thinking, extraordinary devotees give extraordinary gifts such as Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, that's something just, it crosses us, the oceans of misery. I mean, it's what an incredible thing to do. And I was just thinking, this Mysore person comes forward and gives a Mysore person a gift of Bhagavatam. I mean, there's so much value is in there, and we just take it, we can't take it so lightly. So I just wanted to share SKP.
You know, Radhanath Maharaj mentioned that in his earth-shattering talk the other day. I mean, it was just such an amazing presentation. Of course, every time he speaks it is, but because we were all tuned in. And he said that we can't take it for granted. Just because we print them in Mass, it's Bhagavatam. It's the book that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar Pandit read every day. And actually, they destroyed their copy because they were weeping so much. And Srinivasacharya traveled 1,000 miles just to get another copy. So we have to keep that in mind. We have to worship Bhagavatam in our hearts and in our homes and spread that mood. Just as Prabhupada, he had to create the audience for it because people weren't really up for it. They didn't know what the Bhagavatam was. He had to get them chanting, get them taking prasadam, and then start reading Bhagavatam to them. Yes, Malini.
Prabhu, we got a few dialed in right now.
Just now
Nikunja
only.
Sundari Mataji, she wants to sponsor. Nikunja Sundari Mataji wants to sponsor one set of Srimad Bhagavatam for Arushi.
Haribo, Chai.
And Prema Kishori Mataji just sent in, I think these are the messages from YouTube and Facebook, that Preeti Radhika Mataji, she wants to sponsor one set of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Bravo.
Shraddhama. She wanted to sponsor it for Shraddhama.
Yes.
Isn't that nice?
It's
Wow.
extraordinary love for extraordinary devotees.
Yes.
And also, Harshad Das and Rima would like to sponsor one set of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Haribo.
Like to sponsor it for their sister
And
family in India.
Yes.
You said they're sponsoring for the whole village in India? I couldn't hear it because you broke up a little bit.
For their sister's family in India.
Okay, sister's family with all the cousins. That's about 52 altogether.
There was one in the chat from Harshad.
No, that's really
Hare
nice,
Krishna.
Harsha Prabhu and family. Wonderful. Yes. I see hands going up. Go
Akash
ahead.
Prabhu and Poonam Sharma Mataji, they want to sponsor one set of Srimad Bhagavatam in America.
Bravo. Let's hear it for sponsorship. And in America yet. Fantastic. Good for you.
Hare Krishna, I'd like to sponsor one today too.
Yes.
Haribo.
Sheshvari Leela Ki Jai.
This is going to be for the US, and I actually already filled the form as well, but I just wanted to add another one to that.
Bravo. Well done.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
We announced you this morning, Raseshwari. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, on behalf of Rasika Shiromani Mataji and Govind Charan Prabhu, they would like.
You just broke up. What kind of cruel hoax is this?
When it comes to
Sadhu, come back.
We want to hear the number.
Sadhu, where are you?
Can you hear me?
Oh, this is really torture. Go ahead.
On behalf of Rasika Shiromani Mataji and Govind Charan Prabhu, they would like to sponsor 10 sets for His Holiness Srinivasa Swami Maharaj.
Haribo! Now that'll do some major damage. Hare Krishna. That is huge.
There's Zira Prashant Prabhu would like to sponsor the 3 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam sets for those people who took the Saptarishi set from him recently.
Oh, that's nice. Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, you know, you meet a devotee and then a month later your house is full of transcendental literature. Malini.
Prabhu, Premlata Mataji wants to sponsor one set of Srimad Bhagavatam for her mother in India, and this is a Kannada Srimad Bhagavatam set.
Now that is the nicest thing. Way to go, Premalata. That's fantastic. Yes, as I was saying. Yes, go ahead, Malini.
Prabhu, Harita Gopu Mataji, she wants to sponsor 2 sets of Srimad-Bhagavatam on behalf of her son, Anirudh. These are sets for America.
Bravo! Hare Krishna. May Anirudh have pure devotional service in his heart.
Jai Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Where are you getting all these from, Malini? They're just coming in from different parts of the universe somehow to you.
Prabhu, devotees are texting me, Prabhu. So,
Jai.
and they're sending messages on WhatsApp or just regular text
Amazing.
messages.
Divya, Rahul, Ashok, Achyut Kumar Prabhu, Divya Kumari Mataji, they want to sponsor 2 Bhagavatam sets, one for Aradhya, one for ISV family.
Bravo!
And sorry, Prabhu, and one for parents and one for in-laws, and total 4. 2 India, 2 America, Prabhu.
To India, Dan, you didn't miss anything. Well done. Very compassionate. Very smart.
Our good friends Suman and Mayank would like to sponsor a set of Bhagavatam. They would like to actually donate them a set of Bhagavatam in India. And her name is Shakti. And she has she's a cancer survivor and believes that Krishna has made it easy for her to recover sooner. So she would like to sponsor. Oh, that's so sweet.
That's really nice. Well done. Sadhu, sadhu.
Shrisha Dasari would like to sponsor one set.
No.
Go ahead, Shrisha.
So recently, Shukeshwari Mataji started Bhagavad Gita reading for a couple of members in India and here. So we just started 3 months back. So one of the lady, Chandu, wanted to take one Srimad Bhagavatam set. So she confirmed.
Bravo! That's even sweeter. Well done, as usual. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, this is Vishaka Leela.
Hare Krishna, Vishaka Leela.
Please accept my respectful obeisances, all Guru Srila Prabhupada.
Great to see you.
Thank you, Prabhu. I would like to sponsor one set of Srimad Bhagavatam that can go to anyone.
Haribo! To anyone, eh? Well, there's a CEO out in New York City that just sent me a pen. And he's a really nice person. And he has a great company. He also gave me a meditation diary.
Wow.
And if you'd like, we can send it to him.
Sure, Prabhu.
Okay, in which case I'll make you pen pals, and that way I can tell you what the reaction is and everything like that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
Prabhu, this is something coming from YouTube and Facebook. And Ashok Narang Prabhu wants to sponsor 2 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Haribo!
And Tejas Parikh Prabhu would like to sponsor 1 set of Srimad Bhagavatam for his wife Karishma.
Hare Krishna. Well done. Bravo.
And Ashok Narang Prabhu wants to sponsor sets for India, just to clarify.
Jai. Hari Bol.
Jai. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, we would like to sponsor 4 Bhagavatam set for India. 3 months back, we started Bhagavad Gita call for my family members. It's been going good. Couple of them already have a Bhagavatam set, so I want every one of them have a Bhagavatam set with them.
Haribo, Bal Mukunda Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Maharashtra, Prabhu. Entire Maharashtra. He's from Maharashtra state, Prabhu.
Very nice. Way to go, Bal Mukunda.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Radhe 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 Radhe. I just read you something really quick while you're waiting for some others who were trying to contact you. That one may question why there is so much potency in Radharani's name. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati describes that there is one mantra, the chanting of which one achieves all material perfection. All mystic powers can be achieved by chanting this one mantra. If one wants to attain any position in the heavenly planets, he can attain it immediately by chanting this one mantra. If one wants spiritual perfection, to become liberated, he can achieve it by chanting this one mantra. If one wants to attain love of Godhead in Goloka Vrindavan, he can easily attain it by chanting this one mantra. And if one wants to bring Krishna under control as one's own property, he can achieve it by this one mantra. What is that mantra? Radha. Everything is contained there.
So we are at 490 and we have at least 10 more to go for today.
490.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I just got some more inspiration. So we would like to sponsor another 4 sets that can be distributed in India.
Haribo! Well done. Bravo. Now that we have a NAFTA program with India.
Oh, 6 more. Oh.
Look, Malini has got her hand up again. That's a good sign.
Sandhya Desai, she wants to sponsor 1 set of Srimad-Bhagavatam in USA.
Haribo.
Haribo! Hare Krishna! Bravo! Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. This is kind of like those calling parties, only it's like somebody turned the water on. Okay, go ahead.
This is Nisha Advani wants to sponsor 1 Srimad-Bhagavatam set in USA.
Hey, Nisha Advani, way to go. Hare Krishna.
And we also want devotees who are sponsoring on Facebook and other places to also leave their contact information so that we can follow up where they want it to be shipped and things like that. So please leave that information also in the text.
So all the sets which we are taking today, there will be a yagna in Ahobilam. So favorite place, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there. So you'll be added to the yagna list, and it's a great opportunity. So now 5 more to go, please.
It's a very powerful.
Actually, it became 4 more to go.
Oh, okay.
4 more to go only. So yeah, your name will be mentioned at the yajna, and special mercy requests from Lord Narahari Dev. That's his place there. What to speak of the fact that for Bhadra Purnima, by giving away 1 set of Bhagavatams, you go back home, back to Godhead. You reach the ultimate destination.
So I'll distribute one. I'd like to on Radha Krupa Prabhu name. So I want to sponsor one for him,
Haribo.
so that he'll join the call, Prabhu.
Purushottam, you mentioned your brother-in-law was sponsoring 2 cases.
Oh yes. Okay, so the 2 more. Okay, yes. Thank you, Mataji. I forgot. Prabhu, my brother-in-law father. Sorry, on behalf of his father, so you want to distribute, sponsor 2 sets in India, Prabhu.
Jai, Haribo.
And I would like to sponsor 1 set for my mother.
Priya Kishore, we can barely hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
What was it?
Oh, I said I would like to sponsor 1 set for my mother.
Haribo.
Vijay Gopu Prabhu's friend Ashish would like to sponsor 1 set of Srimad-Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna.
And our Shraddha Mataji wants to sponsor 1 set of Srimad-Bhagavatam in India.
Haribo. Uh-oh. I think we just hit 500.
No, Radha Kripa just kicked in. That's what we happened. He's sponsoring 1 set for Bhagavatam for Shraddha Mataji. I think we're starting all over again.
Haribo, 501.
Hare
Krishna.
Shri is doing also 1 more. That's a 502. So, Bhakti Barsha is also doing. Is that right? No, Bhakti Barsha is doing 1 more. So that makes 502. Priya Kishore, last one was Radha Kripa Prabhu.
Prabhu, there is Dhani Hill Prabhu. He's sponsoring 4 sets of Bhagavatam for India.
Haribo. NAFTA ki jai.
Prabhu, Achyuta Chaitanya Prabhu just texted in. He wants to sponsor 1 set of Srimad-Bhagavatam.
Haribo.
Haribo. Keep going, Malini. I'll be right back.
So, I think Premalata Mataji want to. That's already mentioned, right? She just now again texted. So, okay.
Yes,
I put 5,000 and then just realized maybe for next Bhadra Purnima.
Mataji.
No, I thought you were going to sponsor remaining of those.
I actually was excited that 500, I put 5,000. So, okay, that's for next Bhadra Purnima.
I thought that was your pledge for the souls.
I really wish if I could do it, I would be happy to.
Juhu temple is doing 2,000. So if we say 5,000, Mataji, that's really big number.
Is Juhu temple the highest, Prabhu? 2,000.
2,000 individually, I think so.
There is another temple that's doing 4,000, right?
Mayapur.
Delhi is doing 5,000.
I thought Delhi was
Mayapur already did 3,000. So.
We are actually, trying to set up a standard to lead globally. Then we better be more than a 5K. Sukeshwari, you're not too far off.
With your blessings, we all do it. Thank you, Ansapriya.
With your effort, it will happen.
Mataji, I was listening the last class, right, from Bhaktirao Maharaj. He said 700,000 villages in India. So you can expand Bhagavad Seva all over the India. We can do it, Mataji.
That's the goal, Prabhu. Please bless. Yeah.
I just heard 7,000. Is that what's going on here?
We are talking all temples in India, Prabhu. How much that? Delhi is doing 5,000.
Ananka Gopika just texted in that Ramani will distribute 1 set of Srimad Bhagavatam for her uncle in US.
Haribo. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Prabhuji, we can have if you like, we can have last countdown, Prabhu.
Have what?
Last countdown.
Yeah.
Finish.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Prabhu, before you go, there's already a text came in. Anish Prabhu is sponsoring one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam for his brother-in-law in India.
Haribo!
Brother. Yeah.
Sorry, brother. Sorry. Okay, Niharika just texted that she wants to sponsor one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam in India. This is on behalf of her entire family.
Jai, way to go, Niharika.
Oh, I got one more text. This is Srini. We would like to sponsor one SB set for anybody in America, in US. So,
Haribo!
Srini Prabhu ki jai.
I like those.
Prabhu, can we get contact information of Srini Prabhu? Oh, sorry.
It's Giridhar Vadul. That's the name. We can. Prabhu, please text it here. Prabhu, your email. Okay, I got the mail address. Okay.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Malini?
Through our own Rohini is doing a lot of set distribution. She's inspiring many people. And Rohini sent a message that Samuel A. Das is sponsoring one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam in America.
Haribo! Way to go, Samuel.
Radha Kripa is also doing one set on behalf of newly married couple, Mr. and Mrs. Sachin Priya Kishori and Sachin, I think.
Haribo!
And then one set, Suman is again doing it, and she is doing for Pooja Garg one set of Bhagavatam set in US. That's from Suman and Mayank. Yay!
Haribo!
Yeah.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Next slide. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Damodara Rati Vardhana Deshe Hari Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Shubhanudadi Navasheshileke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Shubhanudadi Navasheshileke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Shubhanudadi Navasheshileke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. 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 Karunam Kuru Mai Karuna Bharite Saraka Sanatana Varnita Charite. Karuna Varite Sanaka Sanatana Varita Charite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. 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 Radhe 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Violin is great. Fantastic. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Sri Harinam Mantra ki Jai, Sri Harinam Prabhu ki Jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Rādhāṣṭamī Mahamotsav ki Jai, Srimati Radharani ki Jai, all the followers of Srimati Radharani ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Malini, you got your hand up. That's a good sign.
Prabhu, I just wanted to thank all the devotees of this broadcast team who have been doing an excellent service in terms of doing the broadcast without any glitches. Not only that, they're collecting all the sponsorships coming from YouTube, Facebook, and every place, and then just conveying it to us. And Shraddha Mataji, she's doing, she's collecting all these sponsorships, and she's been texting me, and we got some more sponsorships while you were doing the kirtan. Would you like to hear that, Prabhu?
We would love to hear them.
Okay, so there are some big ones coming up.
Big ones?
So, yes, Prabhu. So Gopi Soumya Devi Dasi, who already sponsored 2 this morning, she wants to sponsor 4 more sets for $1,000 in America.
Haribo!
And Santosh Chaitanya Prabhu is sponsoring 6 Srimad-Bhagavatam sets for India.
Haribo!
And Ankita and Hitesh Kulkarni, they want to sponsor $5,000 for Srimad-Bhagavatam sets.
Haribo!
And Mala Pashupati, and this is Sadhana Mataji's friend, they are sponsoring 2 Srimad-Bhagavatam sets.
Haribo!
Haribo!
These are the only thing. Oh, there's one just came, one more. Bhavana Prabhakar via Apara Gaurangi Mataji and Sri Antariksha Prabhu, they want to sponsor one Srimad-Bhagavatam set.
Haribo!
Okay. Nope. One more. Okay. That's all. That's all for tonight.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Krishna Jinka Naam Hai.
Well, is it okay if we announce a few more?
Nah, we don't want to hear it. Absolutely. We're just playing kirtan just so we can come back to hear this nectar, please.
Prabhu, just got a message from Shraddha Mataji that Ankita Dash and Hitesh Kulkarni, they wanted to sponsor one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam for Vaiśeṣika Prabhu and Nirakula Mataji, and one set for Shraddha Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I needed that.
Well, that's all for now, but doesn't mean that we're closing the Bhadra Purnima. Devotees can sponsor till the day of Bhadra Purnima, and we'll be just counting until just 1 week left. It is actually the next Monday.
Okay. And we'd like to beat Mayapur.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is everyone okay?
Very blissful.
Okay.
The devotee is asking for total score, and Pri Kishori, would you like to say what is the total score?
Sure. You want to share?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Would you like me to share the screen or would you like me to show the score? Say the score.
Shabda.
Okay, so we have a grand total of 551 sets.
Wow.
And a grand total of Lakshmi, $125,350.
Haribo! Very good, very good. Sadhu, sadhu. So we're creeping up on Mayapur. Thank you very much, everybody, for... What's the Mayapur goal? How many is Mayapur shooting for?
They're doing 4,000, Prabhu.
Only?
They already did 3,000, bro.
That's nothing. Well, today's been an eventful day. That every one of you did tangible service, either by listening in or by sponsoring sets. And all day long, this has been a day of service. And amazingly, as we've been able to be all together somehow or other through this medium and keeping the vibration going. Malini's got another one.
Prabhu, yes, Prabhu. Achyuta Kumar Prabhu just texted me and he said that he would like to sponsor 2 sets of Srimad-Bhagavatam, one for Vaiśeṣika Prabhuji and Nirakula Mataji, and one for Srivas Pandit Prabhu and Malini Mataji.
Haribo!
That's it, Prabhu.
Okay. So are there any final requests? Any final reflections? Anything else before we leave?
I can
For
start.
respective kutirs.
I was just thinking, Prabhu, these conventions are going on in the past few days, in the past few weeks, and they collect so much money. And we don't even know how it's benefiting the human beings. But we had a convention today, and it's so ecstatic, and it's all virtual, but it's so transcendental, and we almost achieved the same results, but people get eternal benefit.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, people so readily come together to try to patch things up through politics or other kinds of philanthropic work, and they collect millions and millions of dollars. I saw a museum, it's actually a botanical garden in Denver. It's very popular. And they have these huge banners on the wall for the fundraising that they've done. And they raise millions, 20 million, 40 million at a time, and they're building new wings on. But after all, I mean, I don't mind botanical gardens. I go there. But after all, it's just plants at the end of the day. But this is so significant, the distribution of Srimad-Bhagavatam. So our idea is to scale it up to the higher levels. We're starting here with thousands of dollars, but we'd like to see hundreds of thousands, and we'd like to see millions and tens of millions to invest in spreading the Sankirtan movement and giving people an opportunity to take to Krishna consciousness. I think that would make the Srila Prabhupada and all the Acharyas happy. What do you think? So we should do it, right? All right.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
I was reflecting on the point that you shared from the Chaitanya Charitamrita purport, where you said Radharani is the medium through which she's transmitting the living entities and giving them service to Sri Krishna. And I also remember Guru Maharaj saying yesterday, one of the points that really touched my heart was that Srimad-Bhagavatam is non-different than Srimati Radharani. And so on this day, Radharani is practically offering herself through the mercy of the devotees to each and every soul who is just unknowingly or knowingly just lucky to receive this. And just as I'm writing all the scores, I'm thinking this is really what is the purpose of life, and this is what will make us happy, is seeing everybody else happy by receiving the mercy of Radharani.
Nicely done, Priya Kishori. Very nice.
Actually, on the same line, I thought that I missed devotees very much. I thought I will miss devotees very much in the morning when we went for Rādhāṣṭamī, even though I was looking forward my service and everything. But, that's the service, but then service is complete when the devotees are around. But when we went through this exercise or this service of, hearing from everyone sponsoring Bhagavatam, I didn't feel as much separation as I had anticipated. So I just wanted to see that how the Bhagavatam has brought the mercy of Radharani and made us feel that presence even in this separation.
When we do the yajna properly, then there's always satisfaction no matter where you are. That's the main goal in life, is do the yajna that pleases the Lord, and it's the only way to be happy. Everything else falls short. When I go on my walk in the evening, sometimes I see people, the TV sets just keep getting bigger and bigger. I can feel the whole houses shake as I walk down the street, and I look in there, it's like a gigantic movie theater, and no matter how much they try to squeeze out of it, they can't get one drop of happiness. But with this yajna, just pleasing Krishna a little bit or a lot through some sincere service, and then you just feel naturally happy, right? Malini's been, and SKP, go ahead.
No, Prabhu, I just want to thank Hansupriya Mataji for putting out for the festival team. It's earlier we used to have only 1 day Zoom, Prabhu. Now we have our 1 day program. Now we have 2 day Zoom calls, like yesterday evening, and all programs are nicely arranged.
Very good. We should have it 24/7.
Yeah.
Malini's been trying to get in for the last 4 minutes and 32 seconds. Go ahead.
Through these last sponsorships are really sweet. Just wanted to announce that Shraddha Mataji, she wants to sponsor one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam for all the babies in ISV that are yet to appear.
Haribo!
And she wants to sponsor one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam for the dispatch team headed by Venudhari Prabhu, who are doing such an excellent service. Because if you place an order on Friday, it gets delivered on Saturday or Sunday, the max.
Amazing.
So yeah, so she wants
Bravo,
to sponsor.
Haribo.
And one more came in. She said she wants to sponsor one more set. This is all Shraddha Mataji for Team ISV.
Haribo.
And one last one came from Nitisha Mataji, and she said that a friend of mine whom I'm reading daily has started distributing for Bhadra Purnima. She says one person, Bhargavi, will take one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam.
Haribo.
So she's inspiring her friends and friends to distribute Srimad-Bhagavatam sets. Jai Nitisha Mataji.
It's a fever.
Prabhu, that's all I have for now. Prabhu. Oh, yes, that's all for now.
Okay. Any other reflections before we go?
Maharaj, you were asking how is everybody doing before you got
yes
interrupted.
And do you have an answer for that?
No, this is where we want to be, right? On a Tuesday evening, in front of being on TV. So very, very happy. Yeah.
This is the real reality TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maharaj, can I add something, Maharaj?
Please do.
Maharaj, I just wanted to thank you, Ramananda Saka Prabhu, for painstakingly setting this Jamulas. I think this is, I'm not sure whether many of our devotees is aware about the pain he's taking in the background. I mean, setting one set, making a modification, hours and hours of fine tuning. I mean, I just bow down to his dedication. It's just, in this world, you won't find a people like Ramananda Saka Prabhu. So I just wanted to, put my heartfelt gratitude for his service. The quality is the way it is fine tuning. I think this is increasing our rasas. So thank you, Ramananda Saka Prabhu.
Amazing.
And thank you, Vaiśeṣika Prabhu, for, leading us into beautiful, beautiful festival today. I mean, what to speak of just the festival, but you also, it's like a Rādhāṣṭamī as well as the Bhadra campaign. Only you can, just empower us and carry us to this such a wonderful, blissful day. Thank you so much.
Who knew it would turn out like this? It's Srimati Radharani's special mercy. It can only come from above. Malini has her hand up again, which is a good sign.
Prabhu, before Radhakripa Prabhu was thanking Ramananda Saka Prabhu, Sophie Mataji, who is a great fan of Ramananda Saka Prabhu because she cannot come to the temple but listens to all the broadcasts, she wants to sponsor one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam for Ramananda Saka Prabhu.
Haribo!
And Shraddha Mataji, she wants to sponsor one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam for the Zoom team.
Haribo!
That's all for now, Prabhu. I keep saying that's all for now, but something comes up. So
okay. I'm just going to read you a translation that is very meaningful and pertinent for today. This is from the song of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Savarana Shri Gaura Mahima, the glories of Sri Gauranga and his associates. Anyone who has accepted the two lotus feet of Lord Caitanya as his only asset knows the true essence of devotional service. The heart of anyone who gives submissive oral reception to the pleasing and sweet pastimes of Lord Caitanya immediately becomes cleansed of all material contamination. Anyone who simply chants the name of Sri Krishna Chaitanya will immediately develop love of Godhead. I offer him all congratulations by saying, Bravo! If anyone feels ecstasy and cries by simply hearing the transcendental qualities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he at once understands the eternal loving affairs between Radha and Krishna. Anyone who has understood that the associates of Lord Chaitanya are eternally liberated souls immediately becomes eligible to enter into the abode of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan, in his next birth. If anyone understands that there is no difference between Gauda Mandala, the place in West Bengal wherein Lord Chaitanya had his pastimes, and the transcendental abode of Sri Vrindavan Dham, then he actually lives in Vrindavan. Anyone who takes pleasure in sporting within the waves of the ocean of Lord Chaitanya's distribution of love of God immediately becomes a confidential devotee of Sri Sri Radha Madhava. It doesn't matter whether such a devotee is in the renounced order of life or whether he is a householder. If he is actually taking part in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan activities and actually understanding what it is, then such a person is always liberated. Narottam Das aspires for his association. And Prabhupada gives this purport. This is a song by Narottam Das Thakur in praise of the glories of Lord Chaitanya. Gauranga refers to Lord Chaitanya, who has a fair complexion. One who has a fair complexion is called Gaura, and since Lord Chaitanya was very fair, just like molten gold, he was also named Gaura Sundara. Narottam Das Thakur says, Gaurangera duti pada jar dhan sampada, ye jani bhakati rasa sar. Anyone who has accepted the two lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya can understand the true essence of devotional service. Devotional service is very difficult. It cannot be understood by any ordinary man. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, out of many thousands of persons who are trying to achieve the perfection of human life, only some actually become perfect and realize the self. Out of many such thousands of such realized persons, only one can understand Krishna. Without understanding Krishna, how can one engage himself in the service of Krishna? Therefore, the devotional service of Krishna is not an ordinary thing. But fortunately, if one follows in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, Gaurangera duti pada, by following the path shown by Lord Chaitanya, the process of simply chanting Hare Krishna, he can very easily understand what devotional service is. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur prays that one take shelter of Lord Chaitanya and follow in his footsteps, for then one can understand the essence of devotional service. Hare Krishna. Malini.
Prabhu, there is one more that is coming from Bhakta Rohan, who wants to sponsor one set of Srimad-Bhagavatam.
Haribo! Well done, Bhakta Rohan. Hare Krishna. $560 now. Dear Srila Prabhupada, if you so desire, please empower us to understand the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as you have given it. Please instill in our hearts the desire to spread the movement and to always have a hunger to hear about Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and the whole spiritual world from your books. And please let us be kind friends to all living entities by giving service to your lotus feet and spreading the Sankirtan movements. Thank you for considering our request. Hare Krishna. Everybody who agrees with this, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
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 Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Varsha, one to go. Hare Krishna.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Vishta Kripa Sindhudevacha Patitanam Pavanijo Vaishnavinyo Nantakoti Vaishnavindaki Jayo. You don't have to go home. You can stay here. Malini will be taking orders until tomorrow morning, and then we'll switch over. Hare Krishna. Lord Premanande. Haribo.
Another $50 came. Anyway, Malini, just note down. I sent you a text.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, broadcasters. Thank you, Malini and SKP.
Thank you, Balaram and Apramay and
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you everybody for joining for today's Rādhāṣṭamī celebration. The broadcast will be ending.